Good afternoon, all of you. So today we will start with bus-based multiprocessors. It is one of the most important topic in distributed systems. So let us come and talk about hardware concepts in detail now. So in hardware concepts, you are able to see the very first word written over here, that is MIMD, multiple instruction, multiple data stream. And I hope every one of you is clear about the definitions of distributed systems, advantages of distributed systems, disadvantages of distributed systems. So to give you a very small recap of what the earlier topics were, a distributed system is a collection of independent computers that work as one unit and appears to the user as a single entity. And there were many examples for distributed systems. Suppose you are there in your computer lab and you are playing a game, and that game requires a very high processing power, and all other nodes are free. That means no one is sitting on those terminals. So what we can do is that we can use their processing power to play your game, to process your game. So in the definition, the first part of the definition says that it is the group of independent computers. And the second part of the definition says that it is that appears to the user as a single unit. Means the user is unaware of the fact that which portion of my task is being processed at which node. And this thing, this property, we call it as transparency in distributed systems. And please note this thing, that transparency, the word transparency means different in distributed systems. Normally we use transparency that user knows everything. But here in distributed systems, transparency means that user is unaware of the fact that which portion of the data segment is being processed at which node. So this was the quick recap of what the distributed system and its example was. And the second example, you can state it as just like, suppose you are in a factory and you are watching the robots being made. And suppose one of the component of a robot is damaged. So that robot says or instructs the another robot that can you bring this the same thing, my faulty equipment from the powerhouse. And if he brings that, that means the robot is helping robot. Here the processor and the processor is connected. So it could be an example of the distributed system. So talking about the hardware concepts, the first thing is MIMD. Now you will be knowing that what MIMD means. MIMD means multiple instructions, multiple data streams. So according to the Flynn's classification, we have 4 types of data streams. The first one is SISD, this one. SISD means single instruction, single data stream. Single instruction, single data stream means there is one instruction that is going to the data unit to that, and that data unit is also one. That is single instruction, single data stream. Example is the uniprocessor systems. Uniprocessor means the processors having one, the systems having one CPU. Uni means one processor, uniprocessor, right? So the example is uniprocessor systems. The second one is your SIMD, that is single instruction, multiple data streams. So here we are having one instruction unit that fetches the instruction and then commands many data unit to carry out the work in parallel. Okay. Third is multiple instruction, single data stream. Multiple instruction means we have many instructions, and single data unit is one. So currently no computer fits in this model, this MISD. So let's cross this MSID. The fourth one is MIMD, of which we are talking about. MIMD is a group of computers. It is a group of computers, or you can say independent computers that have their own program counter, program, and data. 3 things are there: program counter, program, and data. Okay. So this you came to know that what is MIMD. Okay. So now Here it is written parallel and distributed computer systems. So in MIMD, parallel and distributed computers are there, and we have bifurcated it into two parts. The first one is the multiprocessors. Here it is written shared memory, and the second one is multi-computers with private memory. So let's talk about this multiprocessors first and multi-computers first, and then I'll explain you that what do we actually mean by tightly coupled and loosely coupled systems. Okay, so multiprocessor means, multi means many, processors means many processors, means we are working in a single topology that contains many CPUs, but one shared memory. Memory is shared. So this is multiprocessor. I'm sorry. So this is multiprocessor. The second one is multi-computers. Multi-computers is with the private memory. Means we have computers, we have many CPUs, and each CPU has its own memory. Then we will call it as a multi-computers, right? And again they are bifurcated into two parts: bus switched, bus switched. So it is nothing, need not to worry. It is bus based multiprocessors. Then switched based multiprocessors. Again, bus based multi-computers, switch based multi-computers. Now what is this bus and switched? Bus and switch is, suppose if I talk about multiprocessors, many CPUs, if arranged in a bus topology, we will call them as a bus multiprocessors, bus based multiprocessors. And if they are arranged using the switches, we will say them that they are switch based multiprocessors. The same thing is with the multi-computers. Now talking about this tightly coupled and loosely coupled. So this is very interesting topic. Tightly coupled means just like the delay, when it is normally being said that tightly coupled means when the delay is very low and the data rate is high. That means the delay experienced when a message is sent from one computer to another computer is very high. Sorry, is short and the data rate is very high. So in tightly coupled systems, delay is less and data rate is high. Okay, why delay is less? Let me give an example to you. I have a one circuit. I have attached two CPU. I have engrossed those two CPUs over the same circuit board. Now this thing will be called as a tightly coupled. Why? Because two CPUs are there on a same circuit. So the delay of transmission of data is low and the data rate is high. Why the data rate is high? Because they are on the same circuit board. They are sharing the same area. So this is tightly coupled system. You will come to know it about this topic very clearly when I'll explain you the loosely coupled ones. Loosely coupled one is when the inter-machine message delay is large and the data rate is low. And if I talk about example, suppose I have two computers connected by let's say 2400 bits per second modem. I have two computers connected with 2400 bits per second modem. So obviously these are two entities. So the data rate would be low and the delay will be high. So this is the example of a loosely coupled. Now I hope this is clear to each and every one of you. Tightly coupled means there is one entity. The data is being shared in the same entity. So the delay will be less. Suppose if you people are there in a one, 4 or 5 friends are there in a one single room. And if you want to communicate to each one of them, neither do you need mobile phone, neither do you need any video conferencing. You just say to them and they'll reply back to you. Why? Because you are in the same room. This means you are tightly coupled. But one of your friend is at his home and you are at your own home, then you will need other equipments to communicate. Obviously delay would be there. So this is loosely coupled. Okay, I hope this is clear to each and every one of you. So let's move further. This I have already taught you: Flynn's classification, coupling, tightly and loosely coupled systems. Now this is the terms which you will come across the bus based multiprocessors. Okay, so the first one is the cache memory, hit rate, write through cache, and Snoopy cache. Okay, so let us start with the bus based multiprocessors, and whenever these terminologies will come in between, I'll explain each one of them in a very simple manner. Okay, so we have a there is one figure in front of you. It is a example of a bus based multiprocessor, not multi-computer, multiprocessor. Why multiprocessor? We have many CPUs over bus topology sharing one memory, single shared memory. So obviously it will be a bus based multiprocessor. Okay, now suppose I'm annotating here in this slide with a red mark. You try to uh, see that mark and try to understand it. And if in case you have any doubt, you can ask me. I'll repeat it once more for you. Okay. So this is one CPU, name is A. Second CPU, name is B. Third CPU, name is C. And one shared memory over a same bus. Okay. So now suppose CPU A writes a certain thing into a memory cell. Suppose, let's say it has written assigned a value to a variable. Let's say the variable is x, and A has written that the value of x is 10. And then after few seconds, if B will read the same memory location x, it will get the same value 10. It will not get any previous value. It will not get any outdated value. It will get the latest value, whatever is written into the memory. This property is known as coherency. And we say that this multiprocessor is coherent in nature. Anyhow, we have to maintain this coherency property. Why? Because this is very important. Because the information will be same for each and every one, and it is our foremost goal to send the same information to each and every one through that shared memory. Okay, so this is the property of coherency. Means any CPU goes into the memory, retrieves a word, retrieves a memory location, he gets the same updated value. This is coherency. Okay, so this multiprocessor came into model, and after that various problems started to arise. One of the foremost problem was that the network performance was dropping drastically because there was flooding of messages from CPU A, CPU B, CPU C, and other CPUs if they were attached. So there were flooding of messages. So the network performance dropped. So what we did was we came up with a solution, and we inserted a high speed cache memory into each CPU. In this figure, we have embedded cache memory in each CPU. Now, what is the use of this cache memory? Cache memory here contains the frequently accessed words. So suppose A wants to know the memory, the value written in X. So it will go to the memory first. It will retrieve 10 is written over there. It will store it in cache. The next time, suppose A needs the memory of X. So instead of sending the message again to the memory, it sends it to its own cache, and the cache replies with a value 10. So this was the advantage of using high speed cache memory. But again, after using this cache mechanism, problems started to arise. What was the problem? Coherency was the problem. We were not able to attain that coherency. Then what was the problem? Suppose A and B have accessed the same word at the same time from their cache memory, and A has updated that word in its cache memory, then B will not come to know that A has updated it. Suppose A has written X equals to 11 now, but in the cache memory of B, it will be written X equals to 10. So the coherency property was violated. Now again that this problem arises. Now what to do? Then few of the scientists came up with the problem of write through cache mechanism. Write through cache mechanism means whenever a word is written in cache, it will be written in the memory as well. Suppose A is updating the value of X, X is equals to 11. So it has to write into the memory also. But this now half of the problem is solved. A has written X is equals to 11. Memory now contains X is equal to 11, but still the cache of B is in the same ground, that is X equals to 10. Why? Because it accessed that word at that time, the value of X was 10, not 11. So even after using this, the coherency property was not there. So we came up with a final solution, and we termed that cache memory as a Snoopy cache, SNOOPY, Snoopy cache. Snoopy cache is the mechanism, is a kind of cache that whenever this type of cache sees a writing occurring into a memory address present in its cache, it either removes that entry from the cache or update the cache with a new entry. So either it will remove if it will see that writing is occurring there into a memory address, so either it will remove that entry from its own cache, from its cache, or will update the entry with a new memory, with a new value, right? So we studied about coherency property, we studied about high speed cache memory, we studied about write to cache memory, and then in the last we talked about Snoopy cache. I hope this is clear to each one of you. So I have written the definitions for you for these terminologies because they are very important. Cache memory. The cache holds the most recently accessed words. All the memory requests go through the cache. And if the word request is in the cache itself responds to CPU. Then again, the hit rate means if the cache is large enough, the probability of success is the hit rate. This means that if you have searched for a word and that word is already there into the cache, this means it is the hit rate. A hit is there. So hit rate is the number of the maximum number of hits, and this depends upon the large cache or small cache. Then write through cache, we have already discussed that whenever word is written to the cache, it will written to the memory as well. Snoopy cache. Snoopy cache is constantly monitors the bus, and whenever a cache sees a writing which is occurring into a memory address, so either it will remove that entry or it will update that cache entry with the latest value, with the new value, and this is known as a Snoopy cache or snooping cache. Okay, and these are the publication links I have shared for you. I hope each and everything is being clear to you about bus-based multiprocessors, Flynn's classification, coupling, hardware concepts of the distributed systems. Thank you so much.